and gentlemen.
It like glitched out. That was weird.
Right? We're in the void for a moment.
Never mind,
We
folks.
popped back. We phased into reality.
Let's go.
All of that was on purpose. All of this is planned and accorded for.
Yeah,
Accorded
we have a
for.
storyboard right down here.
Yeah, you guys can't see it. Folks, welcome back to the Producer Lounge.
Welcome back, everybody.
This is episode 121. Rolling right along, folks. If you're new to the show, this is our broadcast where we talk about music production. And it mostly revolves around electronic music production, though we talk about, band stuff here and there, depending on the guest. Or
Shout
depending
out
on
Hella
the mood.
Mountain.
Shout out. But yeah, folks, welcome to the show. Today's a great week. We have a special guest for you. We have the Ghost House.
Hey.
Here he is, in the flesh, baby.
What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all?
We got
Yeah.
him. We got him
Legendary Denver entity in the flesh with us.
Thank you for making time for me on this beautiful Thursday.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Honey buns, of course.
Honey buns.
Yeah, everybody's honey buns, dude.
That's fair.
Um,
It's a good night. It's a good night. It's a
Not
good Thursday.
everybody.
The first
Yeah.
ever Thursday
fuck
stream.
Biden.
Oh, damn.
That what this podcast turned into since
Yeah.
I was last here? Is that where we are now?
Fuck yeah, dude.
Welcome back to the Politics Lounge.
Let's go, Brandon.
I swear we were talking about plugins last time.
We're plugging something in. You know what I'm saying? His life support. Folks, thank you.
Very nice.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks all of you guys for being here this week. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course, guys.
Oh, it is my pleasure. Yeah, your guys' studio looks great, feels great in here.
Hey.
The lighting, lovely.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Working
Yeah,
out, working
the
out.
chat is aware. We moved out of Greendale and we upgraded our studio. So
Finally at a Greendale for the first time since
Right.
the pod started.
Yep.
Very comfy in here.
You gotta leave your roots.
right,
you know.
right. We're gonna miss it. We had good times there, but
Right.
Mm-hmm.
you can't have change.
The bigger and the better.
No, wait. You can't have progression without change.
That's true. That's true. And there's only one constant in life, and that's change.
Yeah.
So
Literally, right before the pod started, you were kind of talking about that. You had built this beautiful studio 10 years ago, and all the years prior, and doing a thing, and you're like, the mindset was where music and the industry was at that point, and then now you're finally set up, and things have just changed so much.
You got to roll with the punches. You got to pivot. There's always something that comes up that you don't expect, and if you're not ready for it, and if you're not willing to kind of move and roll with it, you're gonna get left behind. I feel
That's
like
right.
that happens to everybody, and the best of us, we're trying to adjust. We're trying to keep things going. So yeah, industry's changing, life's changing, world's changing, everything's always changing.
Always, dude. Always. I've heard so many of my favorite artists and whatever interviews or podcasts say a similar thing where it's you can just do that one sound you blew up with and fucking milk it for as long as you can, or you just continue to actually be a fucking artist and you push
son.
your own boundaries, and the second you hit your own creative ceiling, you push and you push, and then something pops eventually, and you figure something out. That's what it is. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah, they say the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting your result to change, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Actually, not the definition of insanity.
Well, I said they say. I didn't say that's what it actually was.
No, I know.
That's fair.
I know.
David, please.
They say
No.
Please.
I'm retarded. At some point,
Allegedly.
I literally just was like, is this actually the definition? I had to look it up because I was like, I keep hearing people say this, and I'm like, is that what insanity is? Because
That's
I
not
would
the
like
definition
to know.
of anything. No, that's
Yeah.
not the actual definition of anything. But
It's
It
just
might
it's
be.
a really good saying,
Yeah. It
basically.
It sounds like the
Yeah.
definition of the grind.
It is really nice.
It's
It
the
is
definition
really
of the
nice.
grind.
the grind.
Yeah.
Like
The grind is insanity.
you're kind of it is
It is.
controlled. It's kind of
Yeah.
the same thing as falling out of an airplane, with a parachute. You're controlled falling. We're controlling our insanity.
Yeah. I've never tried.
know.
Sounds fun.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
have tried the grind, and I've been falling controllably for the last 8 years.
I've skydived twice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Have you really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Sounds
What?
sick.
How does it compare
crazy.
to Ableton?
That's
Similar kind of
amazing.
thing?
Yeah.
It's a very
It scratches
similar
a
vibe.
very, very different itch.
I see.
Yeah.
That's
It's
fucking
more of the itch
amazing.
of like,
I'm gonna die.
I'm not dead. Yeah.
Right.
Same thing.
That's
Yeah.
bold. Respect.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm in Ableton and the fucking speakers hit so hard, I feel like I'm falling to the earth. You know.
Hey.
Oh, yeah?
Atmospheric pressure changes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I've heard
I
it.
can literally cool down my room, bro.
It's all about the F note. Cools down your room.
Science.
It would be hilarious to run your speakers just as a fan. Just fucking a C note.
I mean,
Just a fat C.
if I lived in a house alone and my studio was next to my bedroom, I would for sure just put like a white noise or a pink noise or brown noise, low passed, high passed, and
Low pass.
I don't want to pass the highs.
You want to push them there?
Yeah, basically, I just want my
Only
highs.
my house to sound like a spaceship. Just
Constant weird
I
little
just-
drone.
Yeah, and you just go to bed with that just rumble from the whole house,
Yeah.
like just sub.
It's
I
just
would
called
fucking
preparation,
love it.
bro.
I would love it.
It's
Yeah.
just called
right.
preparation.
Right, that is true.
You know,
It's
it's actually
preparation.
mimicking the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
I
So
mean-
what's going on, y'all? What's going on in here? What y'all been doing?
Dude,
You
shit
know,
is going
mimicking
down.
real life with our subs in our rooms while we're sleeping.
Apparently.
No, we've been fucking formulating some things.
yeah.
Oh?
Yeah,
Oh?
just like with releasing in ways I can't really give anything away because it's like top
now I
secret right now.
Okay, that's fair. Okay.
But the idea of manufactured scarcity and making sure that you have to pay attention to get what you want.
Check out episode 83 to learn more.
Oh.
shit!
Just kidding.
Manufacturing scarcity. I like
I just
that.
threw that number out.
Check out episodes in the future to figure that shit out.
Yeah.
Once we have an idea of what we did, you know.
I feel like now that you brought it up, you gotta talk about it a little bit.
Well, the
You can talk about it
manufactured scarcity is basically instead of just throwing your music up on Spotify just for everybody just to like go listen to whenever they want, or on SoundCloud, you put it somewhere where you can. I mean, you could still put it, I guess, on Spotify. You would just put it up there, and it would be up there for a certain amount of time, and then you just take it away.
Yeah.
You just take it away.
We have too much access now. It's too easy to get music.
Correct.
Exactly,
agree.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it's
like that idea.
necessarily bad, but I think there's ways we can dam it and shore it up.
Yeah.
Like we can start getting people used to the idea of like, oh, I really like this guy, but I have to pay attention to when he's like releasing tunes because he makes them go away within a week.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to like
Like,
be
like
aware.
Snapchat for Spotify.
Oh,
right.
Shit.
Ooh, that's kinda nice.
That's
You're-
kinda
you're-
nice.
You guys are releasing a little story.
Right, but you have to. It allows for promotion in like a different sense. It's like there is an air of emergency in it. Like here, this song's only here for a week. Like bye, and it forces people to download shit and put shit like somewhere in a more like they have to put it on their phone. They can't just listen to it via stream. They have to figure out how to download
If they
it.
want to keep listening to it.
Right. They have
like
to figure
that.
out how to download it and then upload it somewhere where they can access it all the time.
Well, I like that a lot.
So it like forces some kind of integration and involvement, which is fun.
Yeah.
It's not as easy. It's definitely the harder road to go if you're trying to like make money.
Mm-hmm.
But
especially at like our level,
Short
where
term.
it's like if
Short
you don't
term,
already
yeah.
have a following, like starting your like career in that sense, like it's an extra just
Right,
level of
right.
oh, that's going
Of
to be more
sauce?
intense, but
yeah.
and it's an extra level of sauce. Exactly. Yeah.
But there are, you know, people out there who love that kind of shit.
exactly.
Like I personally
And they will
love
find
that
it.
kind of shit.
yeah. The crate diggers of the digital sphere.
Right.
I like that. Yeah, that's. I think there's something to that for sure.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Huh.
The Snapchat,
Right.
of Spotify.
There's
Keep it temporary. Make it harder for people. It's too easy.
yeah.
Make it fun.
Make
Right.
it fun.
It should be fun. It also
Well-
gives you more, because we have our tunes. We have got fuck tons of tunes, and we have enough tunes to do multiple, like a couple years basically. Maybe I don't know.
Years of releases.
I think
queued up.
I think a couple
Yeah.
years of releasing a couple tunes a month. Yeah,
I
we
believe
could
it.
do that.
Wow.
So, it gives us like a stretch of time where we can make these little attempts at getting people to
Right.
see it and
Like-
pay attention. It gives us practice on the promotion side, whether that's like visual or like frequency of releasing and shit. It keeps all of our shit for ourselves. The AI can't copy us. Fucking
Well,
suck it. You
they'll,
know?
they'll find a way. They'll find a way.
yeah,
Sure.
right.
Yeah, well, I hope they do, because that means they're really trying.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Oh, this Party B is popping off like fucking.
Yeah, they're,
Right.
Copy
they're,
that,
that-
do
they're
that.
gonna pay us at least.
Oh
for
no,
the
they're
tunes.
not. Oh no, they're not.
I don't think they are either.
They're
Yeah.
only going to be available that way. So
No, I love this idea. This is great. Let's go. Yeah. Making every release special. There's got to be something to it. You need gimmicks now. We all need gimmicks. You know, it's sad, but it's true.
Yeah.
You can't do anything. You can't just go the normal route with anything because
No.
the saturation is just too much. Not the good kind of saturation that we like. It's bad saturation. It's oversaturated.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
True.
I talked about
course.
it at once one episode, but it's worth saying again that there, pre-pandemic, there was around 100 million songs on Spotify. So let's just say like 2020, there was 100 million songs. In 2022, there was 200 million songs.
Yep.
So in just 2 years, Spotify's entire fucking discography, every song that's ever been made by any artist
And
and
it was-
posted on there, has been doubled in 2 years.
It's like that for everything. It's like that for podcasts. It's like that for literally
Oh
everything.
my, yeah, right?
TV
Content.
shows.
Content.
God, the amount of times I'm on fucking social media and I see another new podcast of like some random dudes doing a thing,
Yep.
unlike us.
Unlike us.
Yeah,
No, it's
But-
hard. It's
yeah.
hard to stand out, but
Yeah.
we all keep soldiering on and finding ways.
Yeah, that's the way to
that's why we upgraded to this new studio outside of Glendale.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Greendale.
Greendale.
Sorry,
He
my
doesn't
bad.
even know where the fuck we lived.
Yeah, well, we're not there anymore, dude.
It disappoints me,
It's
man.
the hood, basically.
It's fine.
Mhm.
We
At this
won't
point.
talk about it on here. It's fine.
Yeah. I love this concept of
We will.
manufactured
We will
scarcity, though. Like, it's fascinating to me, and
Yeah.
it's
It's
fascinating.
fun as fuck.
Yeah, just making your piece of art count
Mystery,
more,
baby.
and the mystery of
Yeah.
it. That's amazing. Yeah.
It kind of has a little bit of the flavor of like the old school raves where you'd have to like find the poster, call the number, and then it
Yes.
would give you a time to like meet
Yeah.
somewhere. And
You got to
then
be in
it
the
would-
know.
Yeah. You got to
Yeah.
like figure it out.
That shit is so
which is
sick.
super fun.
It's not a great move if you're trying to make a lot of money.
But, if you're
like
trying to make
to
dope shit, dude,
yeah, trying to make dope shit, trying to make
That's
like a really
just-
cool impact.
Or if you're trying to create a live show that's worth a damn,
yeah,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah,
Like, I love listening to tunes that I don't know in
Mm-hmm.
the club. If they're good,
right.
I'm like, fuck yes. I don't know what the fuck this is, but it's going ham in
Right.
here.
100%, right? I went to Owie's show, his first Space Jam thing at Temple, and there was literally like 5 or 6 times where I just like pulled Shazam up, and I was like, what is this? This is cool. Like, I need to hear this again. And of course, because like the speakers are so fucking loud, like I only got a third of them.
Right.
But still, that moment, that's a fun moment where you're like, oh, this is sick. It's right here. It's
Right.
live. It's now. It's new.
It's live. It's now. It's new.
I love when you're Shazamming a track and it just obviously has no idea, and like you're doing it over and over, and it's just
Yeah.
giving you a different one every time.
Yeah, it's
The
just
best.
never,
It's the
never
best.
gonna do it. So something I wanted to talk about. I've been trying to pay more attention to my drums lately because I've been really hipped on like UK garage shit, and like every track I've heard, like their drums are always so on point. Garage, UK garage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
bro.
drums are on point.
It's a tasty genre.
It's so tasty,
Totally.
right? Yeah. So my question for you guys is, is that like a processing thing? How do you guys like process your drums to just get a nice feel? Or okay, not even a UKG feel. Like, how do you guys process your drums? Do you do a drum bus? Is it individual?
This is a good question. Because I hear a lot of music where I would say the drums are a weak point. I don't think on your music at all, but on a lot of the music I hear,
Obviously.
very very easy to just find something basic and roll with it, and maybe never get to the point where you're punching it up a little bit. How do we get some texture?
Yeah.
I use drum
Yeah.
bus on literally everything. I'm always putting something on there.
Shout out Ableton.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the Ableton plugin?
No, no, I'm
You're
not.
talking about using a drum bus.
I'm talking about using a drum bus.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
if
Love
I
it.
have more than one track of drums, percussion,
What's on the
whatever.
drum
track.
bus? What's on there?
First stop is always going to be a little bit of saturation, and but yeah, from there, I mean, there are a lot of things that give some character. There are a lot of things that give some character. A lot of times, I am like piping some sort of textural sound into that drum bus to process with all the rest of the drum sounds.
Ooh.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And percussion obviously helps. But using good sounds, I mean, is probably going to be the answer number one for everything.
Correct. Sound source.
Essentially, we're talking about a group. Or are we talking about the group is
Yeah.
getting bussed?
I'm always doing some sort of bus processing. I when I'm producing or mixing, I really like starting with the bigger picture. Like, I am not the kind of guy who can sit there with kick drums for 2 hours. I cannot do that. A lot of people do that. I can't do it. I'm trying to get individual sounds very quickly and then treat them together as quickly as I can. That's my process, for
That's a good way
at
to
least
go.
the way that I think about it.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
that's a lot of people are more like into the individual sound selection. I'll just try to find something that works quickly and then get to the bigger picture as fast as I can.
I guess
I'm the same way. Yeah.
when we talk about a drum bus, in my head, there's a couple things that pop up. Like, I think of multiple different things. So I think of like a group. So kick and snare and hi-hats and blah, 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 all in a group and then processed together in a drum bus.
Yeah.
Like the group is the bus. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. What does the Ableton plugin do? That I haven't used.
It's just a saturator plugin. It has like a
okay.
a
Compression,
crunchitizer.
transit
So it's like to
shaping.
put a particular sound on your drums.
Yeah,
is the idea.
Yeah.
It's a little channel tool.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's literally just called drum bus. It's like a stock thing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
got like saturation. It has one.
Has transient.
It's
It has a
pretty fun.
transient shaper.
It's
yeah.
very nice.
Transient shapers are great.
It'll
Yeah.
add sub for you.
Yeah, it's got a
Yeah,
boom.
that's the weird one. The boom knob. It just
Yeah.
adds a
The
sine
boom knob
wave
is dog
to your.
shit.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's strange.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Don't use that shit.
Don't use it. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, unless your shit is really specifically a note. I guess if it's on the kick mostly, then maybe.
Right,
The,
you're
uh,
trying to give it a tune.
the channel strip I use has I think they call it thump. It's a little
Right,
like
okay.
low resonant
Yeah.
filter thing that it'll give you a
Nice.
couple options for. So
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
in a while I'll turn that on.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, especially on drums makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense.
Mhm. Everyone knows you want your hi hats to thump in the low end. You
Right,
know,
right.
You need all that booty.
Well, you
Yeah.
can.
It's an interesting concept to add to this little chat we're doing.
I like it. So what inspired you to say you want to work on your drums? Because like I said, I've heard a lot of music from you. I never thought that was an issue. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah. What
Hilarious.
tipped that off for you? What made you start focusing on that more? It was just listening to music and being inspired, or did something happen? Was there an incident?
What happened?
It was I sent one of my songs into your stream
Oh.
and you just railed on my drums.
Is that
you were
what
like,
happened?
these are the worst drums I've
Dude,
ever
that does
heard.
sound like Ghosthouse.
sounds
That
like
sounds like you, dude. Yeah.
Oh,
no,
man.
no, of course not.
Well, because I had an experience like that when I was getting started in producing, and it was very healthy. I'll tell you, I had a friend of mine who I
yeah.
worked with a lot. And, I used to play drums. I played drums in rock bands and stuff like that. And when I started producing music with my buddy, when we started doing more hip hop stuff and more, more in the box kind of music, he goes to me one day, he goes, for someone who plays drums, your drum sounds are not very good. Your production, that shit stung. That shit, I still feel that to this day. I mean, we're talking that was decades ago, long ass time ago, and
Hilarious.
And those kind of things. Sometimes you need to hear that, make you try a little harder, make you put a little extra attention in. Because, like I said, my tendency is to work a little quick, but sometimes you just need that voice in your head to tell you, like, hey, let's go back to that and put a little more attention in.
Dude, yeah, I agree. That's also it's weird how those like little moments just fucking sit with you, like you're saying, like years later.
Years ago. And that dude's a good friend. Shout out Tyler. But yeah, like it's
right.
That
good,
you
Tyler.
need to hear that sometimes. You need that honesty.
You do.
know?
Yeah. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
will
Dave
talk
is
all the
real. Yeah. You
us
get
all
real.
I'll give it to you. You know, you want to talk about pop punk?
Yeah.
Dang.
Pop
Dang.
punk.
Why?
Dang.
Why are we doing that?
Dang.
Let's.
No.
I don't think I really.
Drums.
I didn't have
I
like a
don't.
moment where, like, someone like called me out on it the way that your experience was.
You just got inspired.
I got
Trying to-
inspired. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
trying to improve.
Trying to
Always-
improve, yeah. And
always
like I
trying to improve.
realized, yeah, there was someday it had to have been like the UKG stuff. Now that we've been hyped on that, that's been a huge part of it. Just like listening to the way they just write their drums, like the rhythmic elements and just like the tonality of everything is so fucking good.
Yeah, a lot of times I don't know where those sounds come from. Like the hi-hat sounds that they use and that kind of stuff. Like what is the flavor on that?
Yeah, yeah. And Burial.
I will add something I was going to add anyways, which is a note to that. A lot of them are the same sounds.
That is true.
A lot of them are just the same kit that guys are just using.
Yeah, sometimes
Like
you don't want to.
What kind of
whether
kit do you
it's-
think it is?
Well, a lot of times it's just like your classic 909 and your
You think so?
7. Sure, there's lots of that. Like
It's
especially
actually
the
a pack. It's called
909
that
hat.
gay garage
The
Pack.
main UKG
sample
pack.
pack.
Everyone uses
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just go with what works.
Well,
You don't
Yeah.
need to.
Honestly,
you don't need to, but I personally I don't want to make tracks like that where I'm just like, oh, this is the drums that people use. If I use these, it'll safely mix and all these things. I'm like, it's too easy.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
So for
So
me,
bored.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm never gonna make UKG that sounds exactly the same as everyone
True.
else because I'm not gonna use the same drums, and I'm not saying everybody's using the same drums, but it sounds like you are.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we all have that tendency not to gravitate toward those standard sounds, but does that hurt us in the end? Does it hurt us in the end? Because
Yes.
Right.
other people
Sometimes.
are working quicker. They're thinking less. They're just making the music.
It really depends
they're
on what
knocking
you
it
want
out.
to do.
It's what you're trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rich, 100%.
I wonder about this stuff. I do.
Yeah,
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, we were talking about Splice before we started the podcast. Like I've never really gone on there. And
like it.
I'm like, well, I'm not going to be one of these Splice producers. I'm not much of a producer to begin with, but I'm like, I don't want to be using these same sounds everyone's using. But then I keep hearing such amazing music made by people, and I'm like, where did this come from? It's Splice. It's always Splice.
It's always
And
Splice, right?
there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, the producer's putting it together at the end of the day.
It's
Yeah.
Right.
It's pre-AI.
Exactly.
Well, it's
Exactly.
collective.
Yeah.
It's not that different than being in a band. You know,
consciousness.
if you're in a band, you're one part of it. There's someone else playing the different instruments, and you're all
Sure.
putting it together to make something. It's collaborative music making.
Right.
It's
And
the
You
same
got to
idea.
tune those drums though.
Sometimes.
And,
Well, I mean, you don't got to, but
right.
I-
And
never.
you don't have to take everything you take off Splice and use it literally.
True.
Like I'll use shit, especially like a top loop. I'll use it only for the swing. Like I just bring it in just so I can copy like what the swing is, and I'll use my own sounds, and then I'll pull in anything and just turn it into a pad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll never try and just have it as whatever I found. Occasionally, very rarely, I'll find a couple things that I'm just like,
That's perfect.
that doesn't need to be affected. I honestly just needed a sample, and this is literally a
Yeah.
sample. It doesn't really matter where it came from, whether a record or Splice. I just needed horns to be like, and I was like, cool, perfect. But I usually sort by random because I'm not interested in which one's the most popular. I'm like, no, I want you to give me randomness.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here. I'm here to get inspired. I'm not here looking for anything in particular.
Dude, okay, so interesting thing I just realized with AT the other day is their random isn't inherently random.
I believe you.
Yeah, you get one set list of your RNG number, and then that's the number you always get as your random every time you scroll.
Right, the seed.
Yeah, you
Okay.
get that one seed every time. So it is kind of random. Like, let's say you just typed in.
What if you refresh the whole page?
Yeah, it doesn't change.
What if you sign out and sign back in?
I haven't tried that. We should try that.
Hmm.
Actually, we should totally try that. Yeah. Yeah, I was noticing that with the other day. AT and I were like looking for a kick or something, and we clicked the random, and we noticed like, oh, this is like the same exact like random preset. Like it doesn't change every time you do it. So you get like you get the seed of random, and then I mean there's like a million pages you can scroll through.
Right.
So
Right.
you just have to take the time to
Right, because I'll go random and then click on page 100 a lot of times.
Let's
Like, I don't
go.
care. Like,
Let's go.
I'm just trying to find weird
That's
shit.
annoying that it doesn't refresh the randomness.
Isn't that
it should just
fucking-
at least just shift through the seed
Yeah.
or whatever.
Right.
So that means like every like random, like if somebody just types in kick and they put random, there's always going to be that one kick that's like the number one, which will inherently be downloaded more.
Right.
And like that person just for no reason gets like all the royalties in payment, even if the kick is like shit. Actually, no, I guess no one would buy it if it was shit. But
Right.
It's interesting.
Capitalism.
All these algorithms are a little tweaked and twerked.
Yeah.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
The algorithms are twerking, dude.
I can speak to drum
I was gonna say,
drum things
speaking
in
of
general.
twerking.
I have I was using maybe trying to get somewhat of a garagey clap of some sort out of shit. But it's kind of just like a white noise. It's just kind of like a fucking. They sound nice. They're like chalky a lot of the time or whatever.
Chalky. Interesting.
It just like
The best
it
description.
hits you and it's not like abrasive somehow
Right. But it's
to your
dry.
ears, but it's loud and it's top heavy like and so I had a little sound that I just destroyed, It was fat. It was just like a fat waveform with a curve that was a volume curve at this point. So I went in and just did the cut of the audio where I would assume the transient is, and then turn the volume down on the tail a bunch after I'd already kind of done a bunch of shit to it, pre-effects. And so it hit my effects the same way, but it only hit hard in the transient area, which kind of just gave it that snap, but also kind of let it breathe a little bit, which is kind of nice. So, there you go.
Yeah.
Drum trick.
Are you
Let's go. Let's go.
are you doing a lot of original sound design with drums, like starting with white noise and stuff like that? Do you guys do that?
Oh,
I've done
sometimes.
it before, but yeah, I don't.
I'll do it with
a lot.
hats sometimes for
It's pretty fun.
you grab an LFO with a white noise sampler or whatever, and you have the LFO do the pattern.
There you go.
draw in the pattern of
Okay.
a
Which is
hi-hat.
nice if you do it with an envelope because you can automate the the release, the decay, and all that, so you can make it sound like the hi hat is getting open or closed, kind of in its own right, which is pretty fun. It's very techno vibe.
You
but-
want it to be really specific. You could use an LFO that's decently long or whatever, and go in and put in little like
Okay.
little ramp in of the noise.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of fun thing.
Yeah, this is something I never really play around with.
Yeah,
Not
it's
much.
pretty fun.
John taught me the craziest fucking trick I've ever seen for hi-hats.
Go on.
So in Pro Q3, there's a feature where you can send in an audio signal and have Pro Q like record it and reference it, and then try and make peaks and valleys based off of that sound.
I've used this.
Yeah, and it does a pretty like decent job for like some AI.
Oh, yeah.
thing. So what he did is he threw in just like a drum kit hi-hat, like an actual like studio hi-hat, and he did the record function, and it creates like all these crazy peaks and valleys. And he copied that EQ to another channel, and then just threw in a white noise,
That's
like
creative.
long sound, and it was almost identically the same sound. Like it was a little different, but he basically just like made that exact hi-hat from a white noise through peaks and valleys and shit like that.
Oh, that's cool. And yeah, that's not that hard to do. That's not
Right?
that time
No.
consuming. And just
Right.
take that EQ curve and put it on some noise or something.
Yeah,
Interesting
you're
stuff.
side
Yeah.
chaining essentially.
Yeah.
So that's not like really creating something from scratch, but that made me think like, oh, like
It's color.
you have color and you have all the control. Like maybe one day you spend an hour, making 50 gigantic peaks and curves into a white noise thing on your EQ. And then like you just create like a hi-hat tone. It has all the resonance and all the little things.
For sure. At some point, you'll be able to be like, here's 10 different hi-hat noises, create a spectrum of how hard I hit it, the velocity impacts the way the curve goes, and then you can have a hi-hat that actually has like the character.
Yeah.
It's crazy how close sounds are to other sounds. Did you guys ever see that thing where it's like instruments but with the attack cut off? And like, so it'll be like a piano, guitar, a banjo, like all these like acoustic instruments, but with like, the attack is cut off, and it's very hard on a lot of these to tell what instrument is what.
Whoa, seriously?
Yeah,
it's hard to tell. That's fucking
like so much of the sound comes from just like these very tiny little nuances, and the tone comes from the actual frequency, but like the what do you call it, the timbre or whatever, the instrument coming from, just the little microsecond at the very beginning, just really primes your ear to hear it a certain way.
That might be the nugget of the podcast right there, honestly.
It's interesting to look up. There's some videos on that.
AKA, you want to make an interesting sound, fuck up the transient.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Try and do something weird with the transient.
Well, this is something EDM producers are very familiar with that I was not, coming from like a more rock, hip hop, alternative, indie kind of world, and like, starting to find out how EDM guys are like doing their drums, and how much time they're spending, looking at like even a kick drum as like, transient and body and release, and like, perceiving it on that. Like I was not that tuned in on a micro level before I started kind of
it's
exploring more EDM production techniques.
Totally.
It's a science at this point.
It's so nerdy when you're just like, make a kick drum in a synth. Okay, I'm going to need my pitch of the mallet hitting the drum, and then it pitches down, and then it kind of like slightly maybe pitches down or whatever.
Been doing audio for a long time. Never perceived sound on that level until very recently.
Add the hi-hat or like the noise of the click of the thing and the air of the room around. Like there's so many fucking things to think about when you're trying to make a kick drum.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's nice though. It's a weird brain to have.
It's
when
fun.
you know
it's
these
different.
Things, because then you're just always walking around the world understanding audio in this fucking weird micro fucking way. You hear things, you're like, ooh, that's a little
this weird esoteric understanding that like, most people don't have. Yeah,
you're in the Matrix.
You're in.
Basically. Just music is just ruined because you're just listening to like the tiniest little things in the in the production.
Totally.
Speaking of the tiniest little things in the production. Back to drums real quick. One thing that I've been paying attention over the last couple years is the attack time on drum compressors.
Yeah.
Because when you're listening to UKG, I would say the word that comes to mind when I listen to the drums is snappy.
Snappy.
And
Absolutely.
Tight.
The way you get that snappy is by controlling the opening of your attacks throughout the drum processing.
So slower attack?
Do you have a number
in
in
the
mind?
transient?
No,
or?
there's no number, but I'll tell you, like, for example, my snares, when I'm kind of processing them, I'll usually have multiple snares, and they'll be in a group that is in the drum group. So they'll be in a snare bus that's in the drum bus.
Mini snare bus,
Yeah. And the snare itself basically just is might get EQ'd and then saturated, and then it gets sent. It for sure gets saturated, but it might get EQ'd into the saturator, and then it goes to the snare group, and in there, everything gets clipped. So all the snares together get all their fucking haircut. Shunk. And then
they get scalped.
And then they get compressed after that, because now I have a clean slate with everything with a haircut. I can send them into a compressor with a slow attack, and it gives them a transient back.
You put them through a clipper and then through a compressor.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I clip them so I know that they're all going to be fucking exactly where they need to be, regardless of when they go into the compressor. The loudest they're going to get is where they clipped. So I know that transient's going to be that loud, so now I can tune my attack time to figure out how much of a transient I want.
That makes a lot of sense to me. I feel like I'm controlling sound like that with distortions or saturations a lot to kind of smooth out the attacks, do the same thing.
Exactly. So you can smooth out the attacks and then bring them back with the compressor once everything's kind of saturated or
and then
clipped.
it's perfectly leveled. That's
and
sick.
then you can kind of toy with the snappiness. And you can do this on an individual basis with each snare before you send it to like the group. But I usually, when making UKG, like I can kind of have the other snares a little bit more free roaming if they're quieter than the main snare, because I know there's a clipper and a compressor at the end of it, so I know they're not going to like necessarily fly through. If anything, that compressor might bring them up, but that's when your ratio comes into play. Like the ratio on this snare compressor is probably a 4-to-1.
Okay.
Because I've just found it's easier to dial it in.
And that's like the
mode.
classic number for drums that I've heard.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like everyone always says like 4-to-1.
And this is an optical compressor, if that matters to anyone. Just because it's got a very fast tuned attack and very, very fast release. And I like that with drums because I can kind of really dial the tail as opposed to any kind of glue or anything like that. So it goes through that compressor there to kind of bring the transients back. And I might do a transient shaper into the clipper to really get it to drive into the clipper so that when I bring the transient back, it's a little bit more natural, depending on the genre. If it's house where the clap is hitting with the kick, I won't do that because I don't want as much transient. The transient's going to be coming from the kick more so. I just want the body of the snare. But yeah, it's all kind of dependent. But that attack time is huge.
Interesting.
And one way to make it fun is to clip it beforehand because then you can sit there and toy.
Yeah.
Are you just using a broadband compressor or are you using multiband?
This is Fab Filter
good question.
C2.
Okay.
Most of the time,
So just a standard full
frequency
compressor.
It's the full frequency. I've made a couple multiband compressors, but when it comes to drums, it doesn't really bother me.
I'm a lot more likely to use multiband on like drum bus than I am to use broadband. Like
on the whole bus, sure,
Interesting.
but just like the snare itself and like the snares,
sure.
it'll be just like one. On the bus, for sure, there's multiband clipping, there's multiband limiting.
Okay.
There's a whole bunch of fucking multiband on the bus.
As I've produced in engineering, I feel like I reach for like just your standard run-of-the-mill compressor less and less, to be honest with you.
Sure, me too. I just don't compress a lot.
I don't either
It's
now.
weird.
Yeah.
I make sure the sound is
different for Ghosty over here. Though.
right.
I'm working in different genres a lot of the time. But
That's true.
You're gonna have to control the volume of the sound a lot more than we will.
Yeah.
Because synthesizers just do the same volume every time.
They're just a perfect
And-
little fucking.
why would you not multiband? Like when you have the option to multiband, and you have the CPU, like fucking
multiband.
everybody
so
should
good.
multiband anything you possibly can at any moment. Multiband saturate.
Unless you suck, maybe just learn to use a singular compressor first. But it'll sound better if you use a multiband.
But
it's just more it's just more control. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not treating my low end the same way I'm treating my mids or my highs. It's just straight up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is
Totally.
important.
Yeah.
Unless you're trying to go for a vintage sound, aka a shitty sound, then you can.
Damn.
Then you can.
Shots fired.
No, it's fine. I'm just joshing, folks.
Yeah, all love.
That's interesting though. Multiband. The thing that what Caleb's explaining with the concept of the attack on the drums and them sounding nice. There was a book that John got talking about compression in your mix.
Yeah.
And basically the idea, and I've brought it up multiple times. We've all brought it up. Longer attack feels like it's close. If it's a really short attack, it pushes it backwards. Because the short attack, like you get a transient on something that is close to you. So having a bit of a little transient is nice, but it's also nice to limit shit and then do the transienting to it.
Right, exactly.
So that you get precise like, I want this thing to be the closest. I'm
Right.
going to put the most transient on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Or whatever. It's just a subtle thing that will transform like the depth kind of
Correct.
feel of instruments in your mix.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something you talked about like fucking 20 times at this point is
I can't get over it.
Yeah.
It's so
Anytime you want to
good.
like push something into the background, you
Yeah.
make a
Compress.
point to like compress the fuck out of
Fast
it. 'Cause-
attack.
Transients.
All the way
Yeah.
fast.
Right. You can't
Yeah.
make something large and compress it. Those are two separate things. Like if you
Mhm.
want something large, don't do anything and just turn it up.
Mm.
Clip it.
Like yeah, you can
And then
clip,
it's
clip,
just
clip
like
it.
right there.
But also
fucking-
that's just like the difference between like club music and like if you're recording
Right,
an opera
sure.
and you want them to feel very close, turn them up.
Yeah. Just
You know?
do some really, really like low level volume management, you know.
Sure. Also
Use-
cutting down high frequencies to move
Yeah.
things further back in the mix. That's science, you know.
Totally.
High frequencies
Totally.
do not travel as far as low frequencies.
Exactly. Yes.
Exactly.
Right.
There's multiple
Behind
things
you,
can
you're
do.
going to hear less of them.
Yeah. Yeah. When you start to understand these like real world concepts, you just implement those into your music, and it just
all of
it
a sudden it
has
starts to like sound better.
does
and make
things,
sense.
it does things. Yeah.
Becomes second nature. Yeah, there's so many things that people ask me about in mixes that I'm like, I don't know. It makes sense. It sounds right. But if you think about it for a second, like you can probably
Right.
derive the reason.
Right.
And go ahead.
I was gonna say it's all or a lot of it is just like word of mouth. Like you just got to like go out there and read through shit, talk to people. Yeah, like that's the best way to learn. Is you just figure out from people that are like, oh yeah, like obviously because it's farther away, it has less high end. Like, why? Like, well, science. This, and you're like, oh, duh.
Oh,
okay.
that makes
and then
perfect
You're
sense.
changed
Yeah.
forever. Like
Yeah.
it's just
Right.
you just have to pick these things up along the way.
It's science.
Science.
Audio
And-
engineers used to be scientists. We used to wear lab coats. You look at those pictures of like the old Abbey Roads. They're all wearing like the white coat. They're standing there with the soldering iron, fixing up some tubes, and so now we just click things.
I know.
It's sad. We've fallen.
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't know if we've fallen, but it's the same thing as like science in Star Trek is clicking things.
Yeah.
So it's just the interface in which we're doing the science.
What's kind of fun in my mind is like after you have this like understanding of how sound works in a real world space, you can then choose to like
Break it.
acknowledge that or break it.
Correct.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, I know this is going to be wrong, but like I'm going to do it just like either because it sounds cool or I guess for the sake of doing it wrong if you're into that.
Right.
But you can play with the concepts and you can make these weird like spatial environments that like aren't inherently like couldn't exist in the real world. You
Yeah,
know,
that's
you can like
big.
you get like fifth dimensional fucking. Maybe not that extreme,
Right,
but
and
That's what Austin
that's
does.
how
That
I
is
like to
Fifth
imagine
dimensional farts in his music.
it. Exactly. Yeah.
No, even basic things like kind of appeal on that level. Like I remember when I first started hearing, I mean, this is so second nature at this point, but when I first started hearing like really chopped up like acoustic drums for like drum and bass stuff or things,
Yeah,
in those,
yeah.
breaks, things like that. After not having been exposed to that, as a young kid listening to like punk music or whatever I listened to, you start hearing, DJ Shadow or whatever, kind of
Right.
dating myself here, but
No, let's go.
DJ
DJ shout out.
and that stuff was such a mind expanding moment to like hear like the sound of a drum set that I was used to, but treated in that way where it's it's manipulated to not sound realistic or to sound hyper realistic or to just
Right,
kind of
right.
take it outside of your expectation. Like again, at
Basically
this point,
make
this
it
is all second
louder.
nature, but
It's like it's louder without hurting your ears is basically what everybody's
That
trying
too,
to do.
too.
Yeah, that's,
How can we
that's a
make
big
it kind
part
of
it.
feel balanced, but also not hurt your ears when we turn it up?
Yeah.
Fuck.
To me, that's the point of like doing what I was talking about, where you clip it and then bring the transient back. Because I'm trying to make club music. I'm not trying to make it so you can listen to it on a picnic and make it feel like there's a guitarist there.
Yeah.
I'm not trying
Right,
to do that.
right.
I'm trying to have you in a dark room and hear the room move air around in such a way that you're like, this is impossible. How is it moving? How is the whole room just adjusting to the sound perfectly? Like it's so well pushed and squashed so that
Yeah.
it's like you can have a conversation at the same time that it's absurdly loud.
Yeah.
And you're confused because it's just the production has been made specifically for that concrete box.
There's an art to that.
Right.
There's
right.
an art to using the space
it's
that
a
you
whole
have
other
available
thing.
to you without it, without it being, off
too harsh or like too muddy. So all you hear is bass. Like there's things you got to do with like the arrangement, with the mixing, like, and then obviously still have it sound good in the car. So there's like,
I feel like the best mixing is getting very aggressive. Like the really high end cutting edge stuff. It's.
I think that's just with filling the space. Like there's a wall of sound you kind of have to fill up. And if you're an ADHD kind of person, you're gonna fill it up with like very quick, riffy shit. Where if you're not, you're going to fill it up with more like broad, just like full spectrum sounds.
Yeah.
But some way where you can fill the whole spectrum so you can then push the whole spectrum so everything will either distort together or not.
Yeah. It's also like we're almost in like the first time of history that people have even tried to like push the limits of like volume and things like this.
Sure.
Like we all know about the loudness war and like things have been progressively getting louder since the 60s
so long
and
ago.
but
That's like a retro idea, bro.
yeah.
Dude, that was like fucking 5 years ago.
But like in recent times, it has just been the understanding of like, oh yeah, like we don't need like all this dynamic range in our Beatles song.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe for the Beatles, sure, but
Right. Again, it depends on what you're using it for.
That
like,
stuff was less
Yeah.
dynamic than people think. If you
That's
look
true.
at those
That's
waveforms,
true.
they were slamming those into those old school
true.
compressors.
Were they?
Yes, those songs are not as dynamic
No.
as,
Okay. I mean,
as
you
people
can-
like
I
to
stand-
romanticize.
Right.
Yeah. You
Oh,
I
can
stand
yeah.
corrected then. I've never
That's-
actually looked. I just
This is one of my hot takes.
no, that's
love
sick.
this
I
take.
love
But
it.
I think it's true, because
Dude.
people were really raging against compression for a while. I'm like, have you heard? Like the compression is so audible on all those old albums. It's less so these days.
You can hear.
Interesting. I'll
You
have
can
to
hear
listen again.
Totally.
the engineer breathe. The compressor's pulling up so much quiet shit from the floor.
Yeah.
Like you can hear the cat outside of the studio on the street just meowing.
They weren't sitting there with those
Yeah.
$20,000 Fairchilds just doing nothing with them. They were using
were.
them.
What's the threshold?
Let's go.
Crank
Let's
it.
go.
We want this shit.
Okay, there's everyone's homework. Go throw a Beatles song into Ableton or FL Studio, whatever DAW. Check out that waveform.
Yeah,
Listen to it.
it's all about the luffs now. But I don't know how their luffs are looking, but that
My luffs
dynamic's
are-
a different thing.
Oh, that's
Looking good.
fun.
I'm sure their lefts
I'm
are
gonna do
pretty
that
good.
tonight.
Give me your questions. We're
Can I ask one more thing before we move on to question round?
just hand me 'em. Okay.
Okay, one thing I wanted to bring up. You brought it up a second forever ago. Something along the lines of like, is music different for all of you guys now that you have this understanding of like the technicality and how compressors work
Yes.
and frequency range? And is it better or worse? Like, what is that experience like?
It's a good one. It always has been, right? Like we're very deep in it. We're in the matrix with
Very.
music where you're just kind of looking at all the ones and zeros and like,
Right.
okay, but
Yeah.
but I've been like that for so long that it's almost come back around. Now it's like if I hear something that's a little that catches my ear a little different, I can just enjoy it for what it is. But yeah, for a long time,
Fuck
I was
yeah.
very caught up in the technical aspects of what's going on in this song, what's going on in that song. I still am to an extent, but
Mm-hmm.
it colors the way you listen to music, being very familiar with its creation and the process. But I think that's been more accessible to a lot of people now too. Like I think your average person probably has a better understanding of what goes into music making. I think. I don't know. Maybe that's not right.
I like to
think.
imagine.
Same.
AT has told me some stories though. Like at the last spot he worked, he was trying to bring up some music stuff, and the girl he was talking to didn't even know what like a chord progression was. So like, part of it is like some
Producers
people
don't even know what a chord progression. What are we talking about?
Yes, stuff like that I understand, but people might understand what like Ableton is.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. I would like to imagine more people have an understanding to whatever degree.
Well,
like,
they're just so much more likely to either themselves or have someone in their life who, makes music. I feel like that's kind of what I'm getting at is like
True.
there are a lot more music makers, there are a lot more musicians, there are a lot more people like working in some sort of creative or technical field now than there were, whatever, a decade ago or whatever when I was getting started, or a little more than that. And so that has changed pretty dramatically in my opinion, like just how many people are involved, how many people have given it a try or are hands-on with it. Again, not just making music, but with any sort of technical manipulation of creative arts or things like that. Yeah,
Right.
endeavors.
Right.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
I got you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of been a benefit then.
It's been a benefit, but it's also kind of like raised the floor. I think where it's not enough to just be like, oh, you're a musician. Like that doesn't mean too much these days.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to full-blown be an artist, a content creator, a video producer, a
Mix engineer, mastering engineer.
It's
You have to do it all and then
You
some.
have to do it all.
Speaking of that, though, shall we move on to our lightning round?
No, wait, real quick. Just give me a little something. I want your guys' opinion on it. Has the understanding of...
I see.
Yeah. Doesn't have to be super long.
Yes, and it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
It is great, and it also sucks.
Yeah.
Like I hate more music now, and not hate in like the worst way, but just like I don't care for it. I guess
Even music you may have liked in the past.
or may have tolerated. Now I'm just like, I don't care. Like this is not my juice. It doesn't inspire me in any way, and I can't. And a lot of other stuff has been brought up in the opposite, I guess. So maybe it balances out, but I'm just more particular. I'm just much more particular. And it's not in like a judgy way. It's just my opinion of it. I'm just like, I don't like this or I do like this. Like I guess you could say it's more clear rather than anything. It's just more obvious now what I can
You've like
enjoy.
honed in a little bit more.
Yeah,
on what you're
because even if it's weird, if it's technical in like a good way, I'm immediately going to be intrigued. Because now I can listen to it on a different level than most people can, because I'm listening to like all of the intricacies, and I'm like, oh yes, he fucking cut the reverb there so that this and that and this could happen without any kind of issues, and blah 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 blah. And he did these things to make it feel very psychoacoustically weird in this moment, like stuff like that. I'm just like jazzed on, but I don't want to like go watch a little band in like a backyard in some small town. Like now I'm just like, I don't want to do that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Poor bands.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah. I mean,
you're not going to see
they
Caleb
don't-
at your
they don't-
backyard shows.
they don't want me there.
Yeah, they don't want
want you
us
there?
there.
They don't
Also,
You're critiquing
Also-
their hi-hat. They're like, it's the hi-hat. It's just the hi-hat.
I know. No, I'm
This is the only one I
critiquing-
got.
I'm critiquing the fact that they're not playing the hi-hat.
yeah. No. The solution to us wanting to show up is be good. Like just
Well, yeah,
be
if you're,
good.
if you're really good in technical,
That-
again,
that's
the
how I feel.
technicality is so important. If you half-assed it, I'm going to tell.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be as impressed or enjoy it as much.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
If I can appreciate the effort put into the thing and recognize that it exists, then I'm interested. If I can't see that at all, then I'm just like, I don't really care about this.
Does it bug you if you're listening to a song and you're like, oh, I know that sample from Splice or whatever?
I don't.
Good question.
I don't recognize samples very often. I don't
No.
really care about samples.
I have and no. It doesn't really
Doesn't
bother
bug you?
me. No. It would bug me if I had money in one and somebody else made one and they made more money than me.
Yeah.
I just
wouldn't
want
say
it to sound good
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
be
correct.
well made
What's the
and
song
have
want?
Yeah.
purpose
Yeah.
and be interesting. That's all.
It doesn't
doesn't
like
matter.
bug me, but I always have this moment like when I hear a splice sound in like someone popular song, I'm like, ha, like it almost like humanizes them where I'm like, oh yeah,
Correct.
they're still just like an artist like me, and they're just
Right.
doing the thing and they found a cool sound. So like,
Oh, I like that.
fuck it, yeah.
I like that. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't think things bother me on that kind of level. That I've never been bothered by, because I'll be enjoying a song and someone on the stream will be like, I think this was all just a sample or splice or whatever, and it's like whatever, who cares? Who cares?
Mm-hmm. If you made something cool out of it at the end of the day, like fuck yeah. It's hard enough to make something just listenable. Like if you made something sick,
Yeah,
good for you. That's amazing.
yeah, for real. Finding a good sample is like being a good DJ. you
Yeah,
know?
totally.
You're putting in some work somewhere.
Yeah, you have this like taste maker kind of personality. Or even real quick, last thing before we go to the lightning round, we were talking about the Kanye samples, and a lot of the way I look at Kanye is like he has this really good like taste maker personality where he just like hears something and he knows it's good, or like I've seen clips of him in interviews where he'll cycle through drums. He has like a drum hell day apparently. Where have you heard about that?
I the big one I think was with the Daft Punk song or whatever.
Yeah,
where
something like that.
He spent like weeks trying to find the right kick drum or something like that.
8 hours a day,
Yeah.
scrolling through just a kick drum and being like, no, almost, but no. Like, let me change my hi hats now. Like
That takes I mean, you know, Kanye said it himself. He is a genius. It takes a certain level of, you know, call it passion to be able to do that. And I mean, look, it pays off. I mean, that was a gigantic song, and how many has he had?
Yeah, one of the first musicians to ever be a billionaire. Like
That's major. That's major.
that's
So
huge.
I'm
I mean,
not here to
Dr.
argue
Dre
with that.
beat him, but
Who beat him? What?
Dr. Dre.
Oh.
Well, you got that Apple money. Yeah, none of these guys are making their money just from the music, but
Correct.
Right. There's a lot
Still.
of other things.
Still.
I just got a message on the computer saying that we ran out of room for the recording of this episode, and I was like, "How? We have like 100 gigs." The video right now is apparently 123 gigs.
Ooh.
What?
I mean, I can download what's off the
Are we
stream.
in like
I don't really
32K?
care. Yeah, I don't know. It's because I changed the.
Well, it was
Output.
it was in my rider that I needed this to be available at the highest quality.
is
So
true.
I appreciate you guys
I
It's
just
set
changed
to lossless.
reading the contract.
Yeah, I changed it to lossless.
Let's go.
Which I'd assume would just like maybe bump it from 8 gigs to like 12 gigs, which I was like, that's fine. But no,
Yeah.
apparently it times it by 100.
We got to get it ready for the IMAX Blu-ray release.
Yes,
exactly.
Jesus Christ. I don't think that camera can capture that.
That's
Um,
amazing.
All right, moving on to the
Lossless.
rapid fire round.
Wow.
Oh, this is a new thing since you've been here.
Bonus round,
Yeah.
lightning round.
Bonus round,
Bonus
lightning round.
round.
Yep. We're just gonna. I'm gonna ask a question. Everybody can join in, including chat.
Chat, join in.
The point is to try and keep it concise and quick. If we go off, whatever. But if it's your favorite kind of question, just answer from the heart. Who cares?
All right, hit me.
Guitar or piano? We'll start with you, Dave.
Piano.
I will also say piano.
I think piano.
Okay.
Electric guitar or electric piano?
It doesn't matter. Your
Guitar, piano.
question is guitar or piano?
Yeah, my heart says piano.
Yeah, see,
Nice.
that is the lightning round
Yep.
right here.
I'm gonna go guitar.
Okay,
gonna go guitar
okay.
with it.
Change it up with
Yeah.
it. All right, I like that.
Respect.
5-inch speakers with a sub, or big ass speakers with no dedicated sub.
What?
I could have.
Big ass speakers, I guess. I
Same.
don't know.
Same, big ass speakers.
You guys should come to the studio. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, right. That's what I was mentioning. I almost wrote it as like Yamaha HS8s with no dedicated sub, but then I thought about your studio and I was like, oh, what if you just big ass speakers? Like,
Yeah, what are those technically called?
What?
The mains.
The mains.
The mains. Yeah.
They got big ass woofers.
Yeah, just the mains in any studio. They're usually set into the wall. They're
yeah.
much bigger than everything else.
Yeah, you don't need a sub with that kind of thing. But
No, they are a sub. They're fucking
yeah.
8 to 10 inches. They're fucking or bigger than that, and they have multiple cones. They're meant to do that.
Yeah. So that's my answer.
Nice.
Ditto.
Mains. Yeah.
Okay.
I should have said like 8-inch with no sub. Whatever.
I mean, whatever.
I worked like that for many years. It's fine.
This isn't a game. It's just the lightning round.
There's no winning, bro.
Yeah.
No.
How many points do I have?
Wait,
Yeah.
wait.
Can we check the score?
Wait.
Rich is leading
We will
the
score
charge,
you at
so.
the end. We will score you at the end.
Hi-hats pan to the drummer's perspective or listeners?
Oh.
Yeah, that's like a fun one, right?
Listener.
If I was doing that, I would say the listener.
1,000% drummer. I play drums. It's always sounded wrong to me.
Really?
Listener's
I
perspective.
understand.
It does
I
for me,
understand.
too.
I understand.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy. That's
It
fun.
does for me too. Maybe I might actually do it correct, like drummer listening position, but also then do a swap.
I mean that's such it's a slight question, but that has informed my entire mixing technique. Versus where I feel like which side the weight is appropriate for the low keys of a piano, for floor times, for all those things. Like that really matters to me, and it all starts with the hi-hats.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Let's go. That's sick.
All starts with the hats.
Yeah,
Hilarious.
interesting.
If I had to pick one, I think I would go listener.
Okay.
I'd go listener.
It's hard for me because I also want to just put the hi-hats over here.
Yeah.
And I want to put the toms going this way because it makes sense.
Sounds backwards to me every time.
Yeah.
I know.
I didn't expect that question on this podcast. I love it.
I know, right?
Good.
Right.
Yeah, we don't really
Thought
live
that'd be
in
a
that
good one.
world anyway, so
Yeah.
we just put
a
the
big one.
hi-hats wherever they want to go.
Yeah, that's what I do. I typically auto
All over the place.
because it feels wrong just
Auto-pan.
having it lean. So I always
Yeah.
do it back and
Same.
forth.
It
Yeah.
depends.
Give the love
Yeah.
everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It depends.
Yep.
Boxers or briefs?
That's an old question.
Well, answer.
Whitey
Boxer
tighties,
briefs.
dude.
Boxer briefs.
Yeah, I think it's boxer briefs now, right?
Yeah,
Is
obviously.
it an either or?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go whitey tighties.
Nice.
All
Classic.
day.
So
Yeah.
Classic.
briefs. Daily boards.
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
I literally wrote down one thing.
I saw you write it too. Yeah.
This.
What does that mean?
Daily boards.
Boards.
Yeah, I wrote down the third thing.
This thing.
Yeah.
Oh, current go-to compressor.
Yeah.
I see.
Oh.
Well, since you wrote that down, Austin, answer that, and we'll work this way.
It's a toss up between two.
Okay.
You can say both.
Can I say both? Okay.
Yeah.
Just Ableton stock glue compressor.
Bet.
Been hyped on, and Fab Pro C.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice. Kind of similar for me. I like the Pro Tools, just the very, very simple channel compressor.
Nice.
And
yeah.
I like TDR Nova from a multiband. That plugin has been my jam for a long time.
TDR Nova.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know that
Nova.
one. That's
Go
cool.
Check that out.
It's
folks.
good. There's a free version.
Oh.
with a water?
It's
TDR
nice.
Pro?
Yeah, it might technically be a multiband or like a dynamic EQ. But I think you call it a compressor.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Sick. I will say probably Pro C2 is my go-to.
Yeah, same.
Nice. Nice.
It's just got so many modes I can do it in anything
Mhm.
besides go multiband.
got the modes.
I guess. But I can just group it into a multiband easily.
Mhm.
Next question. Had your music goals have your music goals changed since you started?
Oh, I love this question.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, everyone gets a little bit of room to
Yeah, this is a lightning round question.
expand.
This one's
Yeah, but it's
yes. Next.
Same.
you
Same,
can
yes.
Yeah, yes, but you can expand a
No,
little
I'm in
bit.
the same exact spot.
Oh man, someone go first. I got to think.
Sure.
Dave started up.
Yes. I was in a band. I then was doing like folk music. Then I was making like beats on my own. I've been making beats with this guy. I've been yeah.
Yeah, okay.
A lot. Just
Plenty of
since I've
times.
known you guys,
Tons.
fucking.
Yes. I mean, I guess originally I had no idea what the fuck I want to do. But in terms of since I've been making computer music, kind of yes and no. Yes, like the project idea has changed over the course. Like now I'm making tunes with you and we have this whole thing very planned out. But it is still kind of fucking to just fucking go as far as physically possible, basically.
Woo!
Like the goal was relatively simple, you know?
True.
Like
True.
fucking bust through the goddamn stratosphere. Not
Yep.
like in the Weekend kind of case. Like I don't care to be a pop star.
You don't need 100
I just
million
want to
monthly
be
on
yeah.
Spotify.
Like I want the Killers in the background to be like, oh yeah, we know that guy.
yeah.
You know,
We
like,
see you.
like
Making
that,
moves.
That status, like behind the scene of just being a killer, is fucking great.
Nice.
Mhm.
Just being an artistic force sounds wonderful.
Fuck yeah.
And plus, I just want to have the freedom to just do whatever I artistically want to do, and that's kind of always been the goal.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah. Anyways,
I guess I'll throw a curveball here and say no. In that it took
What?
it took me a long time to set goals with music because for a long time I was doing it just for fun, and goals were never the they weren't at the forefront of what we were thinking about. Back when I was jamming with friends, playing with bands, stuff like that. It took me a long time to start putting together musical goals, and when I did, it was I don't know, it was to create an infrastructure for musicians, and that's been the focus ever since.
Love to hear it. That's a beautiful thing.
That is honestly awesome. Yeah.
It's everything.
You just maintained that, like, this is the what is the thing I'm looking for? This is like the guiding light, I guess.
It was
North Star.
North Star, yeah.
It was never my goal to make it big or go on tour or to have my song on the radio. I wanted to kind of create a space for musicians and like facilitate other musicians was, I guess, always my goal.
Fuck yeah, dude, that's sick. Can we get it? Can we get a little horn, Dave? Not sad horn.
Sad. This is just playing taps like R.I.P. all my goals.
Caleb's new to the soundboard. Give him some credit.
We're talking troops now.
Let's go. Damn. That's awesome. That's awesome, Rich.
I had to think for a second, but I don't think my goals have changed that much. What I've been doing has changed for sure, like a lot. But the ultimate goal has always kind of been like, what can I do to to I don't know, create a space for musicians to do their thing, I guess.
That's amazing. Fuck yeah. I'm gonna have to say yes. I feel like fucking every other month I'm trying to do a different thing. The main kind of focus has just been like discover yourself as an artist and like find that in the purest form and like excel at that. So in that sense where like I've always kind of done that. But the main thing I want to say is like the thing that's caught me off guard like the past year is I want to have more of an influence in almost like the pop kind of scene. Make more like, I don't know, listener friendly kind of stuff. I don't want to like offend anyone by saying that, but I've always like been like super hyped on like Tipper and like left field bass shit, and I've always wanted to do like this weird fucking thing. And the past year I've been more hyped on just like, how do you just make like a good timeless kind of song that translates like no matter what.
I like that. That's a good look.
Yeah.
That's something I never would have guessed me like developing into, but it's been awesome.
Hilarious.
All right.
It is kind of crazy. Like you'll get the urges to just pivot.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, but it's it's not bad. Like it's good to kind of follow those urges, because whether you come back to your original idea, like you still gained knowledge through that.
Yeah, 100%.
So
and that knowledge of doing like that side of things influences the other side of things. Like now when I'm trying to write, fucking like diarrhea bass explosion track, I'm thinking about it like, okay, what is the hook of the bass line?
I thought you said diary of a bass hook.
Oh, no.
And I was like, honestly, that's sick. But then I realized you said diarrhea. And I was like,
It was almost profound and beautiful,
right.
and I was just like, nah, diarrhea.
Word. Well,
Good question.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
That's that question.
It's a good one to end it on.
We're not ending it. If you could have only one piece of drum equipment in your studio to use, what would it be? You only get one.
What's that one where
Kick
you like
drum.
slide a wood thing on it and it makes like a
The little frog
the
dude.
frog one. That's my choice. Yeah.
Okay.
Take that over a kick drum or a
Hilarious.
snare any day.
Dave said
Wow.
kick drum.
Kick drum. Yeah.
Okay.
Kick drum.
This question is ridiculous.
But it's not. It
This
shows you
question
who
is
you are. It
ridiculous.
shows your true colors.
Oh, actually, no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
It also doesn't matter.
I changed mine to a bongo. I love bongos.
Right, like a pair of bongos. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I would guess for you.
Yeah.
So it makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. It makes more sense.
If I'm being honest, I guess it would just be a MIDI keyboard. I don't know.
Nuh-uh.
Oh, that doesn't
Drum.
count.
Drum kit.
That doesn't count.
Drum
as
kit.
drums.
Just a
drum kit.
single
You can
piece
have
of a
that.
like a single piece of
like,
a drum
like
kit.
something
Or
you're going to use to
percussion.
record. Yeah, like some kind of perk thing you're going to use to record in your
Any drum.
You
You
get
get to pick
one.
a drum or percussion
One.
instrument.
This is unfair.
You get
this
one.
is-
You get
I didn't
one.
know it was
unfair.
this kind of.
Maybe look for a
I wouldn't have
versatile.
shown up today if,
Maybe
if
look
I
for
knew
one
this
of those-
question was on the table.
One of those boxes that you sit on.
The cajon. they
And
call
it has
that.
Oh yeah. Those are sick.
Yeah.
Has like snare
that what you
sounds
want,
on
Uncle
it.
Hon?
And
It might have to be
fucking-
something like that. Yeah, I need versatility. I can't just
Okay.
Yeah.
disembody a
That's why I
hi-hat
go
and just
kick
have
drum.
that. That's crazy.
Honestly, that was the best answer. That's a
I-
whole drum kit in one little box.
I will
Yeah.
do
That was
exactly
good.
that. I will have one hi-hat, thank you.
Just one hi-hat and that's
Wow.
it.
Well, the hi-hats. That's that piece of gear.
Okay.
The hi-hats.
So you get like an open and a close.
Yeah, I
but
get-
It's
I
still
get
just
to-
the hi hat.
Yeah.
I get to start
That makes
grooves.
sense.
I want to hear you drop a song on my thing that's just hi-hat, no other drum sounds.
No, I get to use synthesized drums. You can use as many synthesized
What
drums
are we
as you want.
talking about here?
Just one piece of gear in your studio.
You just get one.
You just get one.
One
You
piece
can
of gear.
use as far as drums,
In your production.
actual drums go.
Yeah.
In
I
your
was with
production, you
Rich
do
where I
whatever you
thought-
want.
I thought we were. You don't get any drum in
No,
your song.
I'm,
except
Okay.
no,
one
I'm not
thing.
saying in your production. I'm saying in your studio.
Right.
Well, okay.
Oh.
Well, that makes a little more sense because before I was set up in a studio, I would absolutely record drums by using sample drums and then using like a real hi hat, and
Right.
that actually works
It
pretty
works
well.
really fucking well.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's
True.
fine. I don't know anything.
Right.
I guess
I guess I could have prefaced the song better.
I'll take any any drum.
anything
Really is fine.
Okay.
I
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
know.
as long as you frame it right. As long as you frame that high tom just right.
Can drummers still bring their kits into my studio, please?
Okay.
Also, what is
It's a fictional world.
what is the
I don't like this world.
the reggae drum? Is that timbali? Like that?
I think so. The rum.
Those are sick.
Like how I just
I
described
love
that.
those.
It's made out of hemp.
Yeah.
It's made out of
Made
hemp.
out of hemp.
Last question to end off the pod. Here we go, folks. Are you ready? When people on the
Wow.
internet question what is color, what would you say?
Whoa.
Like when an ignorant person is like, "What are you talking about color? What is color? What does that mean?" I'll say it.
Fucking ignorance.
I'll say
Cheers.
real quick. Just saturate everything.
Yeah, saturation
That's what they mean.
probably low
that's-
mids.
Yes, lots of low mids because there's lots of character there, and everybody wants to pull out of there because it's muddy, which I understand. But something's got to be there, or else you're got a hollow mix.
Who are we saying this for?
Just like when a newbie asks what's
Distortion.
color. Yeah,
It's like convolution reverb now is color, right?
and it's like
Yeah.
what's
Which is
what's
distortion.
color to you?
That's a
What's color to
great
you guys?
answer. Let's go.
Color to me is saturation.
yeah, that's good.
Is convolution your answer then?
Well, I mean, everything's changing, right? Like we were talking about at the beginning of the show. Like I didn't know what color bass was a year or two ago, and
Yeah.
Well, that's different
Yeah.
than what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand. I didn't know what color base was either.
and now that's what it means.
That was going to be my answer. Is you're all wrong. Color comes from color base.
Ah.
Everybody in 2023 knows that.
It used to be all black and white bass.
Yeah, it used to be all black and white. There was no
Sure.
color, and
That's
now there is.
Yeah.
So if you want color in your songs, you have to make color base.
You all are wrong. It's distortion because a thing being different from the way it was
okay,
is just
boomer.
always distortion. It's just always distortion.
Correct.
Yep.
And
My-
you're not all wrong. That's
so
what I
that's
said.
minus 1 point.
Hey, that's what I said.
No, you said saturation.
That is distortion.
That's a form of distortion.
You could also color through EQ.
And distortion's a form of saturation.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. No, I'm with Caleb on that. Wait, what?
They're the same thing.
No.
They're the same thing.
Yes.
Nope.
If you look
What?
it up, distortion is a form of saturation, not the other way around.
I don't think
guarantee
so.
it. Okay.
I don't think
Do
so.
you want to look it up on the pod?
Distortion is just wave shaping.
Can we look that up?
We can look it up. I don't think there's a correct answer. Honestly, I have
don't
no
think
idea.
so either.
Distortion
to be
form
clear,
of saturation.
to be clear, I'm not talking about a distortion plugin. I'm talking about distorting a sound.
Oh,
That
okay.
is
Saturating
That
a
is
sound
saturating. How
is
is it
distorting it, but
How is it
distorting it is not necessarily saturating it.
Are you talking about distorting as
Ow.
in like distortion, or distorting as in like
Distorting.
a vibrato is technically distorting a sound?
True.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're
Distortion
saying.
Is a more extreme effect of saturation.
That's not what he's
They're
talking
the
about,
same.
though. He's not talking
What
about
is the
distortion.
question?
He's talking about
Yeah, that's not what I'm
distorting.
talking about.
Not distortion. Yeah. So
Which one contains the other?
Well, then, no. Distorting is the act of distortion, just like saturating is the act of saturation. There's no
Right, but there's
difference.
multiple different definitions for distortion depending
Exactly.
on what
Yeah.
context you're using.
And
is
he's-
what he's
Are
talking
we not in an
about.
audio context?
I'm not
We are.
talking about.
That
I'm
is
not
the
talking about
context we're
the
in.
audio plug-in version of
I'm
the
not either.
context.
I'm
I'm
not
talking
either.
about the
Oh.
context of distorting something
An audio
to make
signal?
it from what it was to something different.
But an audio signal.
So like a
Yeah.
flanger.
Yeah. A flanger is distorting the sound.
My intuition is that a saturation is a form of distortion,
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
but I'm
That's
not
a-
sure about that.
That's a different kind of distortion we're
is.
talking about, though. We're not talking about distortion for like a guitar pedal. Like, he's talking about literally just playing with any waveform, any
That's
sound.
not.
But
It's literally
but
a
then I would say
definition
that
difference.
Compression
Yeah,
is
it's
a
100%.
It's just a definition difference.
compression is also a type of distortion. I
Correct.
don't know
I
these
guess.
things.
Yeah. Yeah.
What we're bordering on is syntax.
I love it, Dave.
We're literally bordering on like the difference between a Greek definition and like an Arabic definition of the
No,
same
just
thing.
I want the
completely
truth.
two different ways of using the word distortion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Two very different ways
Like,
of using
look,
the
I'm
word
distorting
distortion.
my hand.
Like,
Exactly.
Like a
Exactly.
lens will distort me
Yeah.
Caleb's not
AKA
having it.
to the
Yeah.
camera.
AKA his answer is gay.
Yeah.
He's trying to break
Yeah,
the game.
that's exactly
Is
right.
what he's trying to
That's
do.
right. I was trolling.
He's trolling.
he's
I
breaking
was
the game.
trolling.
That's why.
That's
you're one
why
of
I
the-
called you all noobs.
Yeah.
And I won.
Well, there's no winning,
No.
but the points do matter, and Dave has the most points.
Oh wow! Everyone, give it up for Dave. Yeah,
So technically,
he's taking home the trophy tonight.
Well, I tried.
You tried. You tried. You gave your best. We all gave it our
It was
best.
that stupid drum question.
Caught you off guard a little bit.
we did good though.
Unfair.
It was a fair sport.
We
Folks-
went hard, actually. Let's
we
go.
did
Folks, thanks for tuning in tonight on a Thursday.
on a Thursday. We went overtime,
Thanks, Ghost House.
dude.
My pleasure. You
Appreciate
guys
it.
rule. You guys rule.
You rule, dude.
You rule, man.
Good times.
This
Hey
is-
guys, check out our contest. Check out our contest. We didn't even talk about it.
We didn't even talk about it.
True.
Let's fucking talk about it.
We didn't
There
talk
was
about
a
it.
massive Denver contest going down right now, provided by yours truly.
All of us.
The Ghost
Yes.
House.
Yeah. The Ghost
Kyoto's
House.
in it. Fucking Resonant Language is participating
don't
in
lie.
it. I'm lying. Yeah.
Some big names.
They would be if they.
Where do people go to find out more about this contest?
Honestly, the best place is just the ghosthouse.tv. You can grab the sample pack right from the website. You can get in the contest. The due date for
Let's go.
entries is September 9th.
September
Let's
9th.
go.
Folks,
Yep.
when this goes live,
Oh, that's actually.
let me
Nice.
double check this real quick. Make sure that if this goes live on YouTube, people aren't like, what?
Should we make it go live a little bit early?
On the 9th? No, it'll be live.
Nice.
It'll be
It's all
live.
good. It's
So if
all
you're
good.
hearing this on YouTube, the contest is in 2 days.
There you go. Yeah, check it out. TheGhostHouse.tv. Grab our sample pack, put together with the good help of the 400 crew at the Ghost House Recording Studio. A bunch of fun samples in there, and you can make a track with them and maybe win $100. Who knows?
There's prize money. There's a first and second place, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go.
Big sheesh. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in.
Subscribe and shit.
Follow, all the things. We'll
All
see
the
you guys
things.
next week.
Enter that fucking contest.
Go enter the contest.